Welcome AI art lovers and tech enthusiasts. In this video, I'm going to put Midjourney and Leonardo to the test. We'll be taking these two AI art generation tools and looking at how they compare on a number of different factors. We'll start off with the user experience and the user interface, looking at the features and pricing available before putting them to the ultimate duel, where we'll look at the same prompt in both platforms and see how it compares across a number of different situations. Everything from portraits to landscapes, from game asset design to pet photography. By the end of this video, you'll have a greater understanding of how these two tools compare. You'll understand the strengths and the weaknesses of both. And, most importantly, you'll know which one is right for your project. So, let's dive in. First thing to note is that Leonardo is built on top of Stable Diffusion, which is an open source AI art generator. It's essentially a well-rounded UI for Stable Diffusion, whilst Midjourney is built on top of its own unique algorithm. One of the big differences between these two platforms is how you access it. With Midjourney, you access it via Discord. So the whole interface is within this chat application, and this brings with it its own benefits and its own issues. You type in your command and it comes up in a chat feed. Compare that to Leonardo, which is not built on Discord. It has its own visual interface, and you essentially have all of your generations built scrolling backwards, as well as a visual interface for changing the parameters of your work. So with this, it's easy to change the number of images, the dimensions, and the guidance scale and other parameters within your work. Whereas with Midjourney, you have to use the UI that exists within that. So you have to type in settings, and from here, you can adjust the parameters as well as adding in text commands to adjust the aspect ratio or other features like stylize. So in that regard, the interface of Leonardo is much more visual, more intuitive. And where Midjourney is now linked to Discord, it's going to have a little bit of difficulty expanding its feature set without being cumbersome. I'd be interested to know if at some point Midjourney will de-link from Discord. The other issue with the Midjourney user interface is that to view your work, you have to go to a separate app, which is the Midjourney app, where you can view and scroll through all of your creations. Whereas with Leonardo, it all lives within the same platform, making it a more coherent user experience. So one of the interesting things that Leonardo and Midjourney offer is the ability to run different algorithms. In Midjourney, you can go into settings and change the algorithm. You can see that there are various iterations of the MJ algorithm, as well as an anime-specific algorithm for creating anime illustrated work. There are also some older algorithms that were created focusing on photorealistic images. So there are 5 or 6 different algorithms there of use. However, with Leonardo, there are a lot of different models that you can use. They have their own Leonardo diffusion model, which is one that I've found very good for high contrast images, as well as some very specific models. For example, this origami paper art style algorithm creates some pretty beautiful work in this very unique, narrow context. Or there is a pixel art algorithm specifically aimed at creating pixel avatars. And this brings me on to the other thing that's possible with Leonardo, which is to create your own models. You can upload a certain set of images and allow Leonardo to train itself and create your own fine-tuned models. This is a bit like using Dream Booth in Stable Diffusion, but it makes it a lot easier. Midjourney currently does not have the opportunity to train your own models. And with Leonardo, there is an opportunity to explore all of the models that have been created in the community as well. So there's a whole host of opportunities here to refine your work. Leonardo also has a couple of other features that are built directly into the platform that gives it a little bit more capabilities. For example, you can instantly remove backgrounds of images if you're looking to create a game asset, an icon, or a sticker. And you simply go onto an image that will be suitable. Let's take some of these sprite designs and click on remove background. So if we click on one of these sprite images and simply click on remove background, and you can see here, it's immediately removed the background from our image, which is a great feature for speeding up your process. There's also an interesting prompt generation tool inside of Leonardo, where it will help you build out a more complete prompt. One of the other advantages of Leonardo is that you can have concurrent jobs running, whereas in Midjourney, with the Pro plan, you have a limit of 3 at a time. Let's try and break it. So you can see you can simply generate a lot of concurrent jobs, allowing you to work quickly. Whereas in Midjourney, unless you upgrade to the most expensive plan, you have 3 concurrent jobs. With the most expensive plan, you have 12. There is talk from Midjourney of expanding this level. So the speed of generation is relatively similar, though with more detail as you add, it takes longer inside of Leonardo. So if you up the resolution in Leonardo, it does take longer. At the moment, Leonardo is offering a free platform where you get 250 credits per day. This will change and they will be offering a premium option, but I believe they will always offer a number of free credits that you can use every day. Whereas Midjourney has 3 tiers. You have the $10 a month, the $30 a month, and the $60 a month Pro plan. The $30 and the $60 a month plans allow you unlimited generations. So Leonardo is free for now. Midjourney has a fairly reasonable pricing structure. So let's jump in and take a look at some prompts in both Leonardo and Midjourney. The first one we're going to look at is a female working on a laptop at top of mountain alpine vintage graphic pink blue grain printed. So this on the left is the Midjourney version, and you can see it's got a very coherent, consistent image with a nice graphical aesthetic coming out. Whereas with the Leonardo option, you can see that it has a strong, striking contrasts and a relatively coherent image. But overall, the consistency is not as intriguing as Midjourney. You can also look, there is a little bit of difficulty maintaining coherence in the image on Leonardo, with some elongated parts of the body here, these huge shoulders on this girl, and here this girl has laptops for legs, as well as a strange baby-like growth coming out of her head. But upscaling one of these images, it improves the coherence a lot. You can see that this was my favorite, I upscaled it, and it's a pretty good output. It could definitely work well for a poster. Whereas comparing this to the upscaled output that I got from Midjourney, there's a much more refined aesthetic, as well as the consistency is very good, apart from these claw-like hands. So let's move on to a mystical landscape in the Studio Ghibli style. This on the left is the Leonardo output. I chose this one on the left to upscale, and you can say we've got a fairly decent image. Everything is working well, apart from the characters, you would say, is letting it down slightly. But the colors, the composition, the coherency is fairly good in this instance. Now, let's look at the Midjourney option, which I would have to say is more detailed and more closely following the exact style of a Studio Ghibli film. But I was using the basic Leonardo diffusion algorithm here, and I think if you were to train your own algorithm with a set of Studio Ghibli images, you'd be able to get something much closer. It's important to note that also these prompt differently, so to really get the best out of each of one, you have to wrangle them slightly differently. As this is built on Stable Diffusion, Leonardo does often require some negative prompts to improve the images. Whereas with Midjourney, you can pretty much put anything in and the results you get out are beautiful. So now let's take a look at comparing some prompts inside of Midjourney and Leonardo. It's important to bear in mind that you do need to write your prompts differently to get the most out of these different platforms. Leonardo is built on Stable Diffusion and it has special importance to use negative prompts. Whereas Midjourney, you can pretty much put anything in and you're likely to get a fairly aesthetic image out. So I'll show you a few more examples. There is a chap called Paul Designor, hopefully I'm not butchering your name, who has done some great comparisons between the two. I'll link to his blog post in the description so you can check out all of his examples. So here he was trying out a beautiful landscape of an alien planet comparing Midjourney and Leonardo. And you can see, I would say that the winner for me personally there is Midjourney. But Leonardo is very close. It has a very different aesthetic. It's more constrained and graphic, whereas Midjourney is more detailed. And let's take a look at portraits. On the left is Leonardo with very hard, harsh contrasts. Whereas on the right, we have Midjourney, which has a softer, more balanced feel. And both of these create very beautiful, lifelike women. Let's take a look at a pet portrait. I would have to say that the fur in particular is being rendered more effectively in Midjourney on the left. And on the right, we do have a beautiful, sincere looking cat, but it's almost like taking two photographers and asking them to picture the same scene. The one on the left has taken a little bit more care and nuance. It's almost like they're a slightly more experienced curator of imagery, whereas the one on the right is it's like asking an amateur to take a photograph with an iPhone. And that's exactly what I think is one of the key differences between Leonardo and Midjourney, is that with Leonardo, you have to be more specific, more intentional with what it is that you want to get out. And it takes a little bit more crafting. But this is like giving you a wider set of brushes, a wider set of tools to create your images with. And it takes some care and craft to get the most out of it. But if you're looking to have complete control over what it is that you're getting out, Leonardo stands out. Here we have an old-fashioned car, and I would say that in this instance, there is not much to choose between the two, especially if you're looking at the aesthetic of the image. That actually here, Leonardo on the left has some great evening light. And finally, we have an old Viking here. And I would say in this instance, both platforms perform extremely well. These very intense elderly gentlemen have battle-worn eyes. I would say for me personally, there's a little bit more life in the eyes of the Midjourney version on the right. And I would also say there's a slight bit of issue with the rendering of the fine hairs in his beard here. Midjourney and Leonardo are both extremely capable tools for creating AI art. I think they have their own strengths and are suitable for using in different use cases. I like to use Midjourney when I want something quick and to look very aesthetic. It creates a better coherent image, but you have the issue that there's not so much control that you get inside of Midjourney. You're essentially quite stuck with what you get out, and you don't have the option to refine or improve it in the way that you do with Leonardo.